Hello and welcome. My name is JodieLynn Craven, founder of Abundance Consciousness, and this is my dear friend, Heather Marie.
Hi, I'm Heather Marie, founder of Soul Great, and welcome to Channel Squared, where we have extraordinary conversations about everyday life topics.
Yeah, today we are diving into some of our personal hardest lessons in this human experience, how we saw the light through it, some tips, and how everything is really working out in our favor. Wow, that's a difficult one to believe when you are in the poop of it all, isn't it?
So true, so true. I mean, this is extraordinary times, eh?
Extraordinary.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're all seeing so much turbulence and craziness and there's just so much that's happening right now, and I think that it's very easy to get overwhelmed and inundated with what's going on and sucked into the narrative. And it's so great that we are talking about the human experience, because that's what we're here for, is to have the human experience. And right now, our human experience is like, holy moly, what is you know? We lost sound on you, Jody. There
There
we
we
go.
go. I've said this to you a few different times, that sometimes in the thick of everything that's going on, I remind myself that I chose this life, and it kind of gets me excited. The way
Mhm.
that I think about it is I wouldn't have chose boring because my soul is quite sassy like me. So I wouldn't have chose boring. I would choose exciting and joyful and all of these like busting at the seams experiences of life. So there's so much more good to come, and that's something that I have focused on my entire life, is that there's always a purpose and that it's going to get better. Like it's always for a reason and it's always for the better. That's something I've said to myself.
Yeah, most definitely. I find, I'll be honest, I find that I get sucked in a little bit from time to time. I mean, my husband is constantly, well, not constantly, but frequently, dragging me off the edge of the cliff. So God bless him.
Like he
But,
brings you back off the cliff.
definitely, I mean, the thing is he's a lot like you, just very abundance mindset, and, focusing on the things that are going to bring you closer to your most wonderful destination. So, you two are, thank goodness my world is surrounded with you and him, because, I would probably be like everybody else going, watching the news or whatnot. But
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
easy to get stuck in that. And I think that's one thing that we wanted to talk about today is the spiritual experience when going through hardship, or spirituality around hardship. There's this huge fallacy in our world that, oh, if you're spiritual, then everything is perfect. It's butterflies, it's rainbows, and you never
Mhm.
experience a shedding of a tear. BS.
So not true. So not true. I mean, and I'm so glad that like we're talking about this, because you're right. Like there's so many people who are spiritual, and they always talk about, like, oh, it's so easy and life is wonderful. But the reality is true spirituality is about looking at the dark parts of you, doing the shadow work, getting into the icky and shedding light on it. it's not about, oh, I went to yoga today and I'm having a cacao ceremony next week. And, it's about getting in there and ripping the crap out of your soul and being like, oh, I see you, crap. And I love you anyway. No.
Yes. Absolutely. That's something else that we were talking about is the acceptance of self. This wrapped up in this fallacy is that, when I'm spiritual, when I get to X place, then I won't experience bad anymore. I won't experience hardships anymore. And, we live in a world of polarity right now. There's two sides, and we came here to experience this. And it's, I think, something that, really helped me was the acceptance of all parts of me. Like the part that is scared right now, that's okay. The part that is angry right now, because when we ignore or we discard those parts of us, I mean, it's like a something stuck in your finger or something like that, a sliver. It's going to fester, it's going to bubble, and it's eventually going to come to the surface, and then it's going to consume you. So you might as well just dig it out, figure it out, not even to change it, but to see what's going on, and to honor that side of you that is scared or that is afraid.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, it's, all that festering doesn't ever do anybody any good. It's like, look at it, take a moment and just look at it. When you're in the moment, you're having the experience, you're like, damn, this is some bullshit right now. Like, just look at it and say, why is it bullshit? Why am I having a problem with this? Is this even about me? Am I making something that is about something else about me? Like, am I taking this as mine? Like, and why? Why am I doing that? Start investigating the bullshit.
The bullshit.
Stephanie's like, amen. Say it again. Investigate the bullshit, people.
Right? It's so great because there's this 2-second delay. So we're not even really sure what we're saying amen to, but we're going to say amen to investigate the bullshit.
Hopefully that's what she meant by that.
It's all that's good. I agree with Steph. I mean, I amen to that. Amen to looking. Amen to feeling through it. Everything that you just said. Yes, I agree. Yes. Do you ever get people that ask you if you go through hard times?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes people will ask me, oh, you probably don't experience like any of that stuff. You're a channel, you have all of the answers. Well, that's not true at all. I'm very, very much, I go through hard stuff too. There's plenty of times when, I know that you are the same way, like we totally go through it just like anybody else. It's about being human, whether it be what's going on in the world, whether it be something very like personal happening to our family or our friends, or even to ourselves. One of the things that, we both have experienced is miscarriage, and that is a really hard thing to go through. And it's easy to get sucked into the belief or the idea of I'm broken, I can't do this thing that should be of perfect nature for me to do. And so therefore I must be broken. But that's not true either.
No.
Like, what if we agreed to have that experience? What if it was all part of the plan all along?
Didn't we?
Of course we did. That's why we had the experience,
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think because time has passed, for us, since that particular experience that you're talking about, I mean, I think yours was last year and mine was the year before, 6 months before that. So we can laugh at it now, but in those moments, it was difficult. I mean, to
Very difficult.
to process losing something that you can't quantify.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing changed on the outside. Like, I didn't gain any weight. I felt different, but to the outside world, I looked exactly the same. And even to my husband. And that was something that we struggled with in our relationship, was just, it was easier for him to move on. Not that he didn't care, but he had a different experience than me. And, you know, in this life, it's in society anyway, it's difficult to feel our feelings, or it's not a popular thing to feel our feelings. So when you're going through a loss like that, for me, it was difficult to justify to myself, I can be sad. I'm allowed to be sad about this, because nothing outside in my outside world really changed, but I had changed so gravely that was a mind bend all in itself. It was all of these feelings. And then going through that time, I remember like laying on my couch and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm telling myself, right? I'm fine. My friends would ask, like, are you doing okay? Yep, good. I'm good. And I wasn't. And I remember somebody in my life, she's a good friend of mine. And she said, are you really okay? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Some days, I mean, every morning at that point, I was waking up and crying. I don't know why. I would just cry. And that was hard for me because I, historically wasn't a crier. It wasn't a lot of emotion. And now moving into spirituality, I've become way more aware of my emotions, for one, but I have allowed myself to express them. And in that moment, I was afraid that if I went down that path of feeling that darkness, that I would never return.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you think about like spiritual things and the things that you've gone through on your spiritual journey, like what would you advise people, or what would some good advice be that you could give to not make the same mistakes? Like, I know that it's been a long journey for us both, but I mean, when you think about it, like, what were some things that maybe you did that if you had it to do over again, maybe you wouldn't do, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's really hard to say because of the way that I look at the world. I look at every piece of that time in my life as pivotal to the woman I am today and the life that I have today and the way that I see the world today, and really leaning on that fact that it was all meant to be and all for the better. Like those dark moments when I fought feeling it, that conversation with that friend were pivotal in my deepening of self, deepening of spirituality, deepening of that friendship, for example, because she told me, you have so many people around you that are supporting you. You're not going to fall into this deep, dark hole, because that's what I was afraid of, and never come back from it. She's like, we are here to support you. If we see you're going down that road, we won't let you go. So it was that learning of, I can handle this on a completely different level. I can move through these emotions. So I wouldn't change that part of it. And I felt after the fact that I went through this depression phase, I guess, depression. I went through depression. I don't know. I was really sad. And I was really like, I don't want to do anything but be a mom. Like, I don't want to work. I don't care about the business that I have. I don't care about the business that I'm building. I don't care about anything. And it was the weirdest feeling for me not being able to move through that. And that was when I had my biggest or most grandiose experiencing channeling. So I wouldn't change that either. Like, my higher self came to me like in a fury. She wasn't mad. She was just trying to give me kind of a slap on the back of the head. Like, it's time to wake up. There was a point, there was a purpose. And if you're just going to quit again, what she said was, if you're going to quit again in this lifetime, I'm out. I'm not going to watch again. Like, I'll see you on the next trip. And it was a wake up call for me. So I guess the only thing I would have done, or that I would do differently going forward, if it happened again, or if something tragedy struck in my life, or if I'm going through a hardship, was to really lean in to me and know that I've got this, and that, you know, I'm supported by the universe, supported by God. I know that now, and that's how the rest of my life will be different, or how encounters will be different in the future. But I can't say I would really change anything, because it was all like, every single piece of it taught me something.
Yeah,
How
well,
are
I
you?
mean, you know, you survived 100% of the days you've lived already.
Right.
You know,
That's a
I mean,
good point.
I've seen that, you know, phrase float around so much, especially lately on the internet. And I'm like, you know, that's so true. You know, when you are in the deepest, darkest parts of the journey, if you remind yourself, well, I've made it this far, you know, and be proud of yourself for that. You know, I think that when you're going through your spiritual awakenings, and I'm using it as a plural term because I feel like most people on the spiritual progression, or they're on their journey, they have multiple awakenings. You know, they have times in their life that are so, you know, traumatic, tumultuous. You know, they could be hardships, there could be bright, shining, wonderful moments that are awakenings. You know, it's the full emotional scale, you know, when you are having these awakened moments. And, you know, I think the thing that we all need to remember is that we are here having the human experience. Like, we came here to have this human experience. So, like, enjoy it, even if it's awful, you know?
Yeah.
And
What
look
can
at
you
it.
enjoy out of it?
Exactly. Like, as you are having these moments, knowing that you're going to come out on the other side improved or enlightened, or, you know, better,
Yeah.
always better.
Yeah. That it will always be better. And that's something I remind myself of too, is when I look back, when I'm in the thick of it, the thick of whatever is happening, and I'm, you know, not feeling great, or, you know, I'm in a cry session, or whatever, I take a moment and I recognize that when I look back on every time in my life that was hard, I am thankful for what it brought me after. Like, it was exactly what needed to happen. It was exactly the curve or bend in the road that, you know, hard left, or the hit with the semi truck into, you know, a concrete block. It was exactly what I needed in that moment to turn to be where I am now. And I'm so grateful and so happy to be where I am now. And I think something else is that sometimes you're not ready to feel that yet. Like, sometimes, do you feel this, Heather? Sometimes you just want to feel shitty.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Sometimes you
Right?
just want to waller in your shit for as long as you want to
Yes.
waller in it, and then you can move on, you know?
Right. And I
Mhm.
mean, I think that's important too. If you're not ready to move from that experience, and for me, that it's a scale. I mean, it used to take me a long time when I started to, actually feel my feelings to move through things. And now it takes far less time to move through things than it did before. But sometimes I just want to stay in my shit. I just want to be mad. I want to cry. I want to stomp my feet and yell at the top of my lungs. And I allow myself to do that because that's a part
Yeah.
of it too, is getting all of that shit out, allowing yourself to do it.
Yeah, well, and I think that to go back to a point that you made, when you were in a dark time, you had some people around you supporting you,
Mhm.
and we were talking about this very topic earlier, and there was an analogy brought up in our conversation, and I think it's a really good one. And shout out to the human who brought this analogy forward to us. I'm going to share it because I think it's really a great um, example of how it can be, and that is, the ocean. You're swimming around in the ocean and you can't see anything. And he brought up the fact that the California ocean, you can't see shit. It's cold, it's murky, and you just can't see anything. And you're just hoping that everything that's in there is friendly, and the thing that's grabbing onto your foot is just kelp, and you're thinking about catching a wave coming in, and you can go it alone. You can go it alone, and hopefully you hit the wave and you ride it in and it's great and wonderful and everything. But if you had a surf instructor, it'd probably be a little easier,
Mhm.
a little easier, because you have somebody guiding you and kind of teaching you and showing you the way. And I think that when you're having these experiences, it's best to it's a good idea to have somebody there to support you and to cheer you on, and help you move through this experience that you're having.
Mhm.
Get yourself a surf instructor if you're going to dip your toe in the spiritual ocean, you
Yeah.
know and I
Yeah.
think
And
that that's Mhm, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I
No, go
was just
ahead.
going to say, I think that can look various different ways. I think
Mhm.
when I started this journey, it was, a couple of my friends. And then I started paying for coaching. And I mean, I even coached with you at one point,
Mhm.
Heather, to
Mhm.
sharpen my channel and to navigate.
Mhm.
I think it's a journey of 1,000 pages or 1,000 miles, and each stretch of leg could be vastly different. And depending on the depth that you're ready to experience, the length that you want to go, that depends on what kind of support you have. Like I even had, after my last breakup, before I met my husband, I was like, this is it. I'm changing my life. I'm changing everything, because it felt like that breakup felt like a semi truck hitting a concrete block, and everything was exposed to me, how I saw the world, how I saw myself, like what I was doing in my life. And I was not happy with a lot of it.
Mhm.
And I hired a relationship coach, and I wasn't in a relationship because I knew that I was the common denominator to my entire life and all of these experiences. I was the only constant in everything. And I hired that person to start with because I wanted to understand how I am in relationships. I
Mhm.
wanted to change me. And then I hired a personal coach, and then I went on a fitness track. And it was this snowball, 5 years later, or whatever it's been, a completely different human than I am today.
Yep, definitely. And and that's therein lies the testimonial of growth, you know.
Mhm.
You grow, you turn a page, you grow, you turn a page, you grow, you turn a page, and before you know it, you've written chapters and volumes in your life. And all of those wonderful experience become teachings for people moving forward. you can take the experience that you've had, all of the growth that you've experienced, and you can share it, pay it forward to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because why reinvent the wheel, people? Like, it's already been done. Let's fast track that shit. Let's make a better wheel, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you are, you know, working with somebody and you're having this growth and you're writing these chapters and you're in the book of life that is JodieLynn, you can take this knowledge and you can say, I see you, fellow human, that is having a hard time. And I know what this feels like. I'm here to help you and guide you through this. It's about community and supporting one another.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like one of the things we were talking about earlier is, you know, when people speak up about things that they're experiencing and things that they're seeing, and you know, because damn, we're living in a crazy time, crazy shit's happening, there's crazy conversations, like it's just stuff, right? And you know, we see this almost like mob that will attack somebody for having a certain viewpoint. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And I know when we were talking about it, you know, it's like there was this moment that I started reflecting on, you know, when that happened to me. You know, I was attacked on social media many years ago, and it was completely fraudulent. There was no reason for the attack, right? But it made me feel awful. It was terrible. It was terrible going through it. It was terrible thinking that these people who I thought were my friends were saying these things about me, and everybody just kind of glommed on. And so, you know, for those who maybe have been a part of that, you know, aggressive belittling or attacking or negativity towards another human being, I implore you to think about if this has happened to you. Have you experienced this? And if you have, did you like it being on that side?
No.
It's fucking awful. Why are we doing this to each other, people? You know, it's just human experience.
Right. That's right. We can have a difference of opinion and not rip each other's throats out.
Exactly.
And I've struggled with that through all of this that's going on right now. And there's been times where I've been in that place where I could see that and I could accept that, and times where I couldn't. I have never been like a in your face kind of person. And for the last 18 months, I have kind of stayed out of the conversation and haven't said a whole lot unless somebody like it's a personal conversation between friends, because I didn't really feel comfortable. And the one time that I did, which was just, you know, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, grown ass people were being so mean, And it was so interesting because I had just commented, I felt like I needed to rescue someone else, which she didn't need rescuing. But, you know, I wanted to, somebody had an opinion that I agree with on a page where it was not an agreeable opinion to have, I guess, whatever. And she was getting kind of raked over the coals, and I felt for her. And I wanted her to know that she wasn't alone. And then as soon as I piped up, I was the one that was being raked over the coals, and people were just so like, on the opposite side. And, you know, asking me like, show me proof of your opinion and show me this and show me that. And I mean, so I started to, and I got lost in this conversation, Heather. I'm sad to admit it that I was like, oh God, and like, you know, whatever. And then took a breath and took a step back. And what did it for me was this grown ass man. He's probably, I don't even know how old he is, but 60s, in his 60s, commented, he tried to like dig a knife into me. Like, oh, you made a spelling mistake. So he tried to make me feel stupid. And this is where the point I want to make with this was that we choose whether we're going to take the bait or not. Mm-hmm. So I took a breath, and I know that he was trying to hurt me, but I choose to believe that his heart is good underneath everything that he's struggling with. I don't know what he's going through. Maybe he was just trying to make a fool of me. I don't care. Your opinion of me is none of my business. I can't spell very well. Let's just be honest. And I'm okay with that. I use spell check for everything. It was in the heat of the moment and whatever. So I said exactly that back. Thank you. I appreciate that. I suck at spelling. And it doesn't negate the intention of what I said. The intention still stands to recognize someone else's opinion with respect and share my own because I was asked to in this forum. Thank you. The end. And because I had come at it from a completely different perspective, I don't agree with him. I don't agree with somebody treating anyone else, including myself, like that. But I don't have to respond back with that same shiv. I don't have to poke him back. An eye for an eye makes the world blind. And I can send him some love. And fun fact, the person who put the post on there, who has the opposite side of opinion, she liked that comment that I made, and he never responded back, or I never saw it. One way or the other, it doesn't matter. I walked away from that feeling good, standing in my own truth, knowing that my intention was coming from a place of love. And It's okay for us to disagree.
It totally is. It's totally okay to disagree. That's the beauty of freedom and, having open discussions about anything and everything under the sun. You can have an opinion and you can be so invested in your belief. And this is beautiful and wonderful. But it doesn't mean that you have the right to belittle, attack, be nasty towards somebody who has an opposing belief. Why is there the hatred behind it? It's okay to disagree. Let's disagree with love. I completely disagree with what you're saying. I love you anyway. But this is what I believe. And it's okay that we believe differently. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Just because I believe this, I don't need to convince you to believe it. You don't need to convince me to believe it. Let's all just have an open mind and hear what the other one has to say.
That's
right. We don't have to make you wrong because you don't believe what I believe. Mm-hmm. It's cool. We disagree. What's the freaking do?
And it means nothing about me. If you don't agree with me, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong, or it doesn't mean that I'm uneducated. It doesn't mean anything about me. It just means that you have a difference of opinion, maybe even a different perspective that at this moment I can't see. That's also something that we were talking about, is perspective. For each human, it's hardship, quote unquote. What is hard for me may be easy for you, or vice versa. There's always three sides of the story: your truth, my truth, and the whole truth. I don't know if that's what they call it, but there's always another side. And I'm constantly challenging myself to look at this another way. Where have I pigeonholed myself into a perspective that no longer serves me? Or where am I not allowing myself to see another perspective so that I have compassion? Because when you see it from someone else's shoes, man, the compassion that you can have, regardless of whether, you've been the person that was in that hardship or not. When you start to step into their shoes and imagine what they're going through or what they're thinking or feeling, you have compassion for them.
Definitely. Definitely. And, you know, I think that the having empathy for one another is really key. You know, like feel, remember what it's like to be in those shoes.
Yeah.
Feel them,
Yeah. Because
you know?
energetically you can.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
And
It's one
a
of our
part,
greatest gifts as spiritual beings having the human experience is that you get to take this divine knowledge and information of feeling and knowing into the physical plane and feel it with your physicality.
Mhm.
It's the primary primal gift and ability that you have as a soul having the human experience.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it, and nobody can. I disagree with anybody who disagrees with me on that. You know, oh, I'm getting heated.
Yes. Yeah. Um, 100%. You don't have to be them or even have them explain it to you to feel what they're feeling. And sometimes that's hard when you recognize you're feeling other people's stuff. That's a completely separate topic. Something I do want to say though is that with this human experience, it's not about perfection. I think it's really about the progress of it all. I remember a dear friend of mine was going through a bad pregnancy and ended up losing the baby, and there was tons of complications, and she was quite a far ways along. And I didn't understand at all what she was going through. I didn't get it. I obviously there's lots of things going in my mind and you don't want to ask a lot of questions or whatever. And then I remember going through my experience that I had. And then we went out for coffee and I'll never forget it. I was sitting in Chapters or Starbucks or I don't know, like it was some public place. It was a bookstore actually. And we're sitting there and I was sitting like far enough away from her that our knees weren't touching or anything and we were drinking coffee and I just started crying. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, I'm such an asshole." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Did I treat you well enough while you were going through your experience?" Because now that I have a new perspective of my own, this is very close to me. I see things completely different. And I feel like I was a terrible friend and I didn't show up for you. Was I a really bad friend? And I was just crying, obviously very hormonal because it was right after everything happened. And she said, "No, you were a great friend during that experience, even though you didn't understand." But I wanted to check in because unless we're checking in with ourselves and the people around us on what's going on, like then you just box yourself into this little shell and you have no understanding of what's going on. And that was pivotal for me because I felt I could have been a better friend. I could have had more empathy, but at the time when she was going through it, I didn't know how. That's being human, is learning that lesson. For me, learning that lesson to be more empathetic when I don't understand.
Yeah, and you know, you said something that is gold, and that is check in. How many times have we had an experience where we have been like, "Oh my gosh, this person, this is completely ridiculous." I'll tell you, I had, and this is good advice for me too. I had a friend who I was very, very close with, and she was getting married. And I was trying to help the wedding situation. As her maid of honor, I was going to help her have the most amazing wedding ever.
Mhm.
And she didn't ask me for that. She didn't ask me for that. I just
Yep.
swooped in and started helping, you know? And at one point, it was very uncomfortable to even be around her because she was kind of mean.
Mm-hmm.
And very demanding and was like, I want you to do XYZ thing and that's it. And I took it as this very offensive, like, wow, what a bitch kind of thing, doesn't she realize how much I'm helping her? And it's funny because, in that time, I mean, it ultimately, our friendship deteriorated. Like, we are not friends today. And going through my own wedding, having the experience of my own wedding planning, I did everything that I could to not be her to my bridesmaids. And when it all the dust settled, I kind of look back on it now and I go, I should reach out to her and just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for imposing myself on her special day. I'm sorry for not showing up the way that she needed me to show up, even though she was very clear about what she wanted, and just take ownership of where, what my responsibility in that relationship was and is. Because now that I've had the perspective of all of the stress that goes into doing a wedding and all of the you're getting pulled around in so many different directions as a bride, that looking at that now, it's, you've given me gold just in this conversation, because I think, gosh, here I was judging her from my perspective. And now that my perspective has changed because of my experience, I should go back. And I should at least take ownership of my part in the relationship and my part in the relationship breakdown. It's never too late. Never too late.
It's not. I mean, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to say, I was wrong, or I'm sorry, or whatever. That's a lot of vulnerability. And it makes us better. Worst case scenario, that person doesn't respond or doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And that's okay. That's where they're at in this moment. Maybe nothing changes, but at least you tried, or you were vulnerable and courageous and said it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that so many times we get so caught up in being right that we forget about being happy, and sometimes it's okay to give up being right to be happy. And whether, I'm right, she's right, whoever's right, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, what is the outcome of the experience. You meet them now with new information. And it's okay to be wrong.
It's okay to totally F up.
Totally.
It's a human experience.
Exactly. And I think that anybody listening to this would absolutely have to agree that when you have the courage to own up to the mistake or the misunderstanding, even if the person never acknowledges you owning up to it, you did it for you too. Be proud of yourself. You said, damn, I did a thing and I'm owning up to it. You will be a better human being because of it. You will have a different outcome, a different experience, a different, more worldly view of life by just owning up to your own shit.
You know what just popped in? We have this belief on both sides of things. So the belief that forgiveness is letting someone off the hook, and owning up to it on the other side is is connected to you are wrong, and then it goes down the rabbit hole of you're a bad person and da 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 da. And I think we should disconnect those things. I think forgiveness, the way that I look at forgiveness, is I am forgiving the soul, the person that did that, whatever it was. I am letting that go. I am setting down the bag. I no longer need to hold it. I no longer need to carry it. It no longer needs to consume me. I am letting it go. It does not absolve the person of the wrongdoing they did. It does not say, oh, it's okay, or justify it in any way. It's just me choosing to stop holding the bag and allow whatever is going to happen to them. That's okay. I can let this go. I can stop carrying this bag, and owning up to it doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you made a mistake. We have so much compassion and care for our friends and family, and such little compassion or care for ourselves. It's okay.
Totally.
You're supposed to make mistakes. Like, if you never fall down, you never would have learned how to walk. Like, you have to fall down and get back up, and fall down and get back up. And that's how you mold yourself as a person. And if we never stop growing, then that's a lifelong thing. You're going to F up all the time. Yeah. Until you're 110 or however long you live on this plane, you're going to mess up. You're going to see the wrong perspective and say the wrong thing, or, maybe have a little bit too much to drink and say something stupid. That's okay.
True, very true. And I think that's the beauty of having this human experience, is this is the experience, it's saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. It's doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. It's, being an idiot sometimes. It's cool. We all do it. Yeah. It's like farting. Everyone does it. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Is it's like we have the opportunity to grow from doing the wrong thing,
Yeah. I mean, how boring would life be if everybody was just like had a bowl cut haircut? I don't know. Like, if you have a bowl cut haircut, I still love you. It's great. You probably
we're all just a bunch of drones.
It would be so boring if nobody ever did anything except for the perfect thing.
Yep.
Perfect is overrated. I mean, it's an illusion. It's just, it's not true. And that it's
boring.
I think about the things that I have done that I probably wouldn't do again. Some embarrassing things. You got any embarrassing stories, Heather, that we want to share?
Oh man, this would be like an 8-hour episode. I am the world of embarrassing moments. As you can see, it just comes out. And I'm like, God, did I just say that? I said fart on YouTube twice.
It's great. I mean, it's a part of your personality, being silly and being goofy. My husband calls it giggle juice. My brother and I both have this brand of giggle juice. I'm not talking alcohol. I'm talking like personality, where you get really, really excited and then you talk really fast and then all of the things. And I remember, this is kind of embarrassing, sort of more for him than me, but I remember one of our first trip as a couple, we went to Drumheller, which is pretty close to where we live, a couple hours away. It's where the dinosaur museum is. And he can whistle the Jurassic Park song so well. It's just, I can't do it. I can't whistle. Or else I would try and whistle it for you. But we went down there and I was like, oh my God, there's a spray park and there's children and there's da-da-da and there's da-da-da. And oh my God, there's a T-Rex. And it was a snap judgment on his part. He was trying to drive and navigate in a place where, he didn't have his phone navigating for him or anything like that. And he looked at me and was like, would you shut the bleep up? And then his face. It was the most hilarious and priceless thing. I will never forget it, because as the words left his mouth, he was realizing what he was saying, and he was like, and we both just started laughing.
Oh man.
Just laughing, because he was just nervous about where he was driving and needed to pay attention. And I had a case of giggle juice, apparently, was just so excited about life. This is who I am. So I have a lot of embarrassing stories like that. But without those moments, like, thank God my husband is the perfect person for me, because he loves that about me. My friends, they love that about me, that I'm a little bit weird, maybe a lot. But those things make you human. They make you special, make you one of a kind. I think that is so important.
Totally. And I think that when you meet people and you spend time with people, get to know their quirks, like explore that fun piece of them that makes them weird and unique and, all the things, I'm sure that, I'm glad we didn't have this conversation last week. Because the quirks and the weirdness could have absolutely reared their little heads. But I know that my husband, bless his heart, he will certainly comment on the quirks and the little things. When we first started dating, he'd said something to me. I'll see if I can paraphrase this, because this was just so good. It was something about, "You're just quirky, Heather." And I was like half offended and half like excited about that. It was just sort of funny, you're particular or something. I don't know. He said something to this effect, and it was really hilarious, because like I think about it now and I'm like, yeah, I really am a goofy girl. I pretend to be all serious, but really deep down on the inside, I'm just a big goofball.
Yeah. Total goofball.
Yeah. Total goofball, she says. Don't tell him, Jodie. I'm trying to be serious. I have my serious hat on today.
Spice of life. I mean, didn't somebody say that the depth of one thing is like the depth of all things? So the depth of hilarity that we have and ridiculousness is also the depth of seriousness and wisdom that we carry, right?
Yep.
Here's your pass to be weird.
Yep. Exactly. Amazing. We'll take you down whichever rabbit hole you want, the serious one or the goofy one. It's our pleasure, really.
Exactly. And there might be a little bit of both on both sides. We should shout out the people that we have watching today. Victoria, thank you for thinking we're funny. I'm going to post that to my husband's Facebook page or something so he believes it. Hi, Kat. Hi, Stephanie. We have Rock Hill Jessica. Nice to see you here. I think that's pretty much it that's here. I think Quinn was here earlier. So
yep,
amazing.
Kat's here. And who else did we miss anybody? I'm scrolling through here. Yep.
We're good.
I think we got everybody.
Amazing. Yeah. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the like button, the share button, all of the buttons, the notification buttons. So
just
you never
click
miss
every button except the mute button. Don't click that one, but click all the others.
Yeah, that's right. Do we have time for a question, Heather? We got one for Victoria.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. She said, how did y'all get past the awkward energy to truly empower? I think she's saying truly empowered.
So when I feel into this question, I'm going to actually rephrase this question, and maybe she can thumbs up or thumbs down us if this is right. But I think what she's asking is like, how do we get past that awkward phase to like step into who we actually are? And I think that I'm going to say, I just ripped off the Band-Aid, but that's not entirely true. Let me give you the true answer. The true answer is that I hid in a closet. I didn't tell anybody about who I am or what I do or anything about me, really. I kind of snuck it into my parents to see how they reacted to it, because I figured, when the dust settles, they're going to love me anyway. And and I just sort of like tippy-toed my way in. And then finally, I think that your friendship, the relationship that I have with my husband, the support that I received from my community, it finally just had me rip the Band-Aid right off. And I just said, fuck it. This is who I am.
This is who I am.
That doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt my feelings when somebody says something bad about me. When I did my debut public channeling experience, I did it in a private Facebook group of 700 people. Talk about ripping the Band-Aid off. I was shaking like a leaf walking into that experience. And after it was over, it was reported back to me that somebody was like, oh, you already have a hater. They're calling you a fraud. Whoop, you've done it. And to the person reporting this back to me, it was, you have arrived, Heather. And to me, I was like crushed, because I thought, I am giving this to you. Like, I am bringing, like, God, the creator, any being that you want to talk to, I am of service to you. Like, this is my gift to humanity. And I was crushed, heartbroken. Like, I almost cried hearing that somebody thought I was a fraud. Now I'm just kind of like, oh, fuck it. They don't believe me, whatever. Someday, they'll have a moment and they'll be like, hey, maybe that chick is legit. And if they don't, that's cool too. I'm okay with that. I've gotten thicker skin. But in the beginning, it was really scary. And I just kept doing it anyway. I took up a lot of time with that answer. Sorry. Go ahead, Jodie.
I think it was an amazing answer.
How did you come into it and get past your awkward stage?
Oh, I kind of did similar things. I hid it from a lot of people when I started, getting into energy and feeling myself out and understanding how I operate and all of these things. I told a very select few people because I was afraid. The business that I have outside of abundance consciousness is a financial brokerage. It's very, like, this is the way it is, like structured brick and mortar, like, like there was no, what I felt was there was no room for spirituality inside of that business. And my whole life was wrapped up in it. So I kind of started to segregate. And, it's interesting perspective. Now I see what I did was I just segregated myself out. I didn't give anybody an opportunity to really say anything, because I was like, wall up, like I'm protecting myself over here. And then when I started to channel and it was kind of awkward and I was receiving this information, I would like test people, not test people, but I would like test the information on people. I'd be like, so I had this idea. What do you think? And people would be like, wow, that's really amazing. Like, that's really great insight, or that's, whatever. Right. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, check. And then I would like channel some more information and I'd be like, but well, what do you think about this idea? And oh, wow, that's a really, really great thing to think about. And I would test things on myself when it came to abundance consciousness. I would ask myself the questions, I would go through the process. So I kept leaning into things, looking for the truth, what felt like truth for me. And then started slowly opening up to people. And I honestly really tried, I'm going to speed this up. for time's sake, but I really tried to hide. I was like, no, I'm comfortable. I'm good. I know I will not accept this mission of, channeling and, bringing in new earth currency to the world. No. And little things kept knocking on my door over and over and over again to bring me back to this path. And then I started to stand up for myself, like you were talking about. I started to put myself out there. I started to focus on the people who were more likely like me, who wanted to be around me when they saw the real me, who embraced me, who really accepted me. And then I made them my circle of friends. My entire circle of friends changed. And, I became, best friends with this beautiful lady here. That having those people who were also going through this really helped me. And I just kept leaning towards them and those things so that I could feel more and more comfortable. And do I feel truly empowered every single day? No, Victoria. There's some days that I wake up, and I'm sure Heather feels the same. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know. I doubt myself. I have those fears and those doubts creep in. I just am better prepared to deal with them. I know who I am now at a soul level. I am good and I am kind-hearted and I'm all of these things. And if I really lean into that and come from that space, anything that I do will be magical and inspire people. So that's what I think. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so good. And the thing is, it's really about just starting.
Yeah.
It's okay to be awkward, be funky. Funky's cool. Nobody wants to be ordinary.
Yeah. And just start. We see you. We see you. You don't need to hide anymore. You can come out and play. It's way more fun. When you really get to be you, it's way more fun. But I think we are out of time. So I think we're going to wrap this up. What do you think, Heather? Yeah?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Amazing. Yep. Thank you so much for being here. Any last thoughts that you want to say before I close her out, Heather?
I don't think so. Be you, be weird. Think about, how you are in the world, your communication that you have with others, come from a place of compassion and of love. Like, remember the time that you were torn down and did you like it? Because it's just, let's all just support one another and love one another, because this is the opportunity that you get to have in this lifetime. And it's what you came here to do. So just do it.
Boom. Mic drop. Amazing. We will see you guys next week, Tuesday, the 21st, because we are weekly. Woo. And next week's topic is the spiritual realm, the weird things that kind of happen in the spiritual realm, some stuff that's happened to us in the third dimension, how you can see it, how you experience it, all of that. To finish this off here, our collective mission, Heather and I, is to assist humanity through our individual gift sets. Heather is a gifted trance channeler, helping leaders understand their mission in this lifetime. And I use conscious channeling to help entrepreneurs consistently attract abundance into their life. So you can check out all of our website details in the full video episode, which will be uploaded tomorrow. Come hang out with us, ask us questions. We're so willing to help you on this journey. And one small plug for me, I'm having a free webinar next week on Wednesday. It's called How to Consistently Attract More Money So You Never Feel Like You're Running Out. So that link will also be in the full episode video dialogue description, whatever it's called. So click the link and reserve your spot for that. We are so grateful for you coming today and hanging out with us. We love you. We're here with you on this journey, and we're just cheering you on here from the sidelines. Yeah. Amazing. Till next week.
Thank you all for coming. See you next week.